Hi, I'm Amy Porter, and this is my podcast. My mission is to show people how to empower themselves through music, business, and media. I try to see as clearly as possible how I can help. I showcase the music that I've played and the people I've met along the way. I'm a wife and a stepmom. You might know me as a professor, a performer, a producer, a publisher, a recording artist. I'm the founder of a couple of nonprofits. Welcome in to my PorterFlute Pod. Welcome to PorterFlute Pod. It's Storytime in this holiday season, and I have a great storyteller for you. It's someone I absolutely adore as a human being. Literally, she's like someone you love because she represents Mother Earth, human compassion, and she even attracts the love of the wildest animals of the earth as their human friend. Who is this generous, magnanimous, awe-inspiring, and benevolent being? You might know her as the editor-in-chief of Flute View magazine, or as host of the Flute View podcast, or a performer, or as a TV celebrity. Today, our storyteller is Viviana Guzman. Also with us in the pod, excited to hear all these stories, are Justine Sedke and Alan J. Tomasetti. I went to the vault from when she was the guest at my Anatomy of Sound workshop in 2017, and I found the clip of us performing Gary Schocker's Danger, High Voltage for two flutes and piano with pianist Justin Snyder. Here's the movement called Don't Touch. Welcome to PorterFlute Pod. I'm so happy you're here. I'm just so excited. Described by the New York Times as an imaginative artist, Chilean-born Viviana Guzman performs over 80 concerts a year throughout the world and has performed in 133 countries. Her latest album, Traveling Sonata, received a Grammy nomination for Best Producer. Her album, Song of the Whale, was a gold winner at the Global Music Awards. Viviana has presented 3 TED Talks. She's been featured on programs for PBS, ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, Good Morning America, and NPR, and seen on the cover of Latina Style magazine and in Cosmopolitan and Espanol. Having started musical training at the age of 5, by age 15, she had played as a flute soloist with orchestra, studied with Jean-Pierre Rampal, and was featured on NBC's nationally televised John Denver's music special. I think I remember that. Her YouTube channel boasts 3 million views. Viviana Guzman is currently teaching flute at the University of California in Santa Cruz. Listen to some spectacular stories from this beautiful woman we all know and love. Hi, Viviana. Welcome to PorterFlute Pod.
Hello. It's so nice to be here. So nice to see you. It's always just such an honor to be with Amy Porter.
Oh, that's very kind. Well, I think we just need to give a little background of how we met, because that really made me feel like I needed to be around Viviana Guzman.
Oh,
So I remember being in Kansas City. Was it Kansas City? I think it was. And I was in one of those moments where I didn't want to be around people, and yet I was around 4,000 people. And it was at the NFA convention. And so I got some lunch from a deli, and I sat on the stairs of this banquet hall, I think. I don't even
like
know.
a spiral staircase, maybe.
And
Or something.
And you came and sat down at the other side of the staircase, same stair. And it was.
And I thought I was completely alone there too. I think.
I know. Isn't that funny?
We're both, I guess, avoiding everything.
Mm-hmm.
And we were both in a similar space.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's how we met.
This is part of my podcast platform. It's called Storytime. If anybody can tell a story, it's you. And every time you tell me part of your life, I just am intrigued more and more. And then when you do things like swim with the whales and it hits CNN, I'm intrigued even more. So we're going to meet you today through stories, if that's okay. Now, we have to start from the beginning, where you were born and how you had a medical condition. And I want you to tell your story of moving to the United States and the angel of the flute that helped you.
Mm. Well, thank you for asking. So, in case you didn't know my story, I was born in Chile, in Concepcion, which was a small town back then. And when I was 1 year old, my mother noticed that I was not walking. And she took me to the doctor. The doctor said, she's just slow. At a year and a half, I still wasn't walking. And she took me to another doctor. And the doctor said, she has this condition. She will never walk. It's called congenital bilateral hip dislocation. A normal hip socket has the acetabulum that sort of hovers over the femur. And in my case, I had no acetabulum whatsoever, making it impossible for me to walk. So my mother freaked out, as any mother would, and took me to Santiago. And the doctor said, there, she's never going to walk. So my father and my mother, they decided to uproot the family. And with $2,000, 2 suitcases, and their two daughters, they uprooted the family. They left their home, their friends, their parents, everybody, everything, and just transported themselves to San Francisco, California, in the Bay Area, and checked me into Stanford Hospital, where I underwent 11 major surgeries. So I grew up in a body cast from my armpits down to my ankles, which meant that I couldn't walk at all. I couldn't move at all. So I couldn't play at all. But if they flipped me over on the hospital gurney where I lived, I could play the piano. So to this day, I say that music healed my life. And it really, 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 really did. I mean, it was my solace. It was how I could express myself. It just became everything, my comfort. And because I had so much time in this body cast, I became a really good pianist really quickly. And I ended up, when I was 7 years old, I also played the accordion. My mom was an accordionist and pianist, and she toured all over South America. And she was my music teacher. When I was 7 years old, I entered a competition at the local pizza parlor. And I ended up winning this competition, playing the accordion, playing a tango. So I got free pizza for an entire year, which for a 7-year-old I had hit the jackpot. But the funniest thing, though, is that I always wanted to play the flute. I mean, even when I was 5 and I started the piano, I said, Mom, I want to play the flute. When I was 7, when I was playing the accordion, Mama, quiero tocar la flauta. I had heard this beautiful sound on the radio. And I said, Mama, quiero tocar la flauta. I want to play that instrument. I want to study with whoever's playing. I want to travel the world playing the flute. And that's when immediately she started me on the clarinet lessons because the neighbor next door had a clarinet and it was free and, whatever. So I had a clarinet when I was 9. Finally, my dream came true when I was around 10, and I got my hands on the first flute. And from then on, I had so much musical training that I became principal flute of the Houston Youth Symphony Orchestra, and they had a concerto competition. And my second flute player, this girl with long red nails, she said, I'm entering the competition. And back then we all spoke with Southern drawl because this was in Houston. And I thought to myself, well, if she's entering, maybe I should enter too. I had never had a flute lesson in my life. I ended up winning the competition. And that meant first prize got to go to Aspen on full fellowship. I was 13. The youngest people admitted to Aspen were the age limit and still is, I think, 18. So anyway, I hopped on over to Aspen. Yes, for 9 weeks. It was so, and then my life changed. I mean, absolutely. I studied with Albert Tipton, principal flutist, had been of the Detroit, then of the St. Louis, or maybe I have the order wrong. Also had played in the Philly Orchestra, studied with William Kincaid, was a colleague of Julius Baker, was a Rice professor. Anyway, so I studied with him. I met Isaac Stern on my way to Baskin Robbins. And then I became buddies with David Stern, his son, conductor, now conductor, pianist back then. I also met Itzhak Perlman. Itzhak Perlman was my idol. And I met him. He was at the same Basket Robbins with Isaac Stern. So anyway, it just changed my life. It really did. It gave my life purpose. It gave my life magic to be in Aspen in the mountains, so inspired, and the beautiful music with such an amazing teacher. And this, it was where my life became magic. I mean, and then I just started just putting on my magic glasses, and I just thought, okay, no, my magic with my magic wand, you see, which is my flute, which is also, oh, okay, here's a story. Here's another story. Um, the name Viviana, did you know that my father named me after the tales of King Arthur? There was a character, Vivian, in the story, and Vivian is Merlin's mistress. She is the lady of the lake and the bearer of Excalibur. So that's when I embraced the whole story of King Arthur, of going into Magic Land, of having my magic wand, my sword in hand, and starting to go to Aspen. Well, my life changed, and I was like, okay, my whole goal in life was to go back to Aspen. So I practiced really, really, really hard, and I won again and again and again and again. And they gave me the full fellowship for 10 summers in a row. Unbelievable. I have to interject in here because I do remember that then I had another second flute player. Her name was Jennifer Whitman, and she went to Tanglewood, and she used to tell me about Amy Porter. And I used to ask her, so how is she? What is she playing? And I just used, and she said, oh, she's very good. So that's when I first heard about Amy Porter. I started off being a little more pre-medi, with a vision that I was going to be a neurosurgeon. I just thought I got that into my head. So I went to Rice University, and I thought I would get an all-around education with the thought that I would, do more science classes. And I took oceanography, I took acoustics, I took all these other, well, acoustics is kind of musical, but more psychology. They tell you, or they force you, they make you take all these other classes. And I took also biology and chemistry, which, well, anyway, so, but then I was saved because I auditioned for the Houston Grand Opera, and I won it. I won the freaking audition. And I just thought, oh my word. I mean, I was a sophomore, maybe or maybe a junior. I can't remember. And I was just dumbfounded. I thought, really? And then I thought, well, okay, if I join this organization, then maybe that means I need to major in music, and I need to go to Juilliard, and that's it. So I had no plan B. So all of a sudden I switched everything, and I only applied to Juilliard. And thank goodness I got in, because it was the only option I had. Oh, and then what happened? Oh, so then my Juilliard audition is really funny too, because I get to the audition and I play I don't know, I play the solo, I play whatever they want. I think it was two solos or something. And then they looked at me and says, okay, how about some orchestral excerpts? And I went, what orchestral excerpts? I had no idea.
Well, what
And
had
they
you
said,
played? Wait, I have a question.
yeah.
What had you played at your Houston Grand Opera audition?
Well, no, I just wasn't ready to play excerpts at the Juilliard audition. I had only practiced solo. But because I had orchestral background in Aspen, the Houston Youth Symphony Orchestra, and then the Houston Grand Opera, I played Midsummer Night's Dream, memorized because I didn't have the music. I just on the spot nailed it. And I think that's why I got into Juilliard because they could see I was completely unprepared or I didn't bring the music. I didn't know because I said, what? Orchestral excerpts? I was completely not. But anyway, I was able to, you know, and I think I impressed them because of that, actually. So
Kind of how have you determined what you can and can't do? Is that through just your attitude, your identity?
that's such a fabulous question because I think it's very important. I mean, we humans as a just a general, we're so powerful, and so often we overlook this power. And what life has taught me is it's almost like I'm very much in tune with my, I'm going to sound really woo woo here, very new agey, my higher self. So you know that I'm very much into meditation, and right now I even have a dream podcast. If you haven't, I don't know if you know that, but where I analyze and with my colleagues dreams because I'm just really into the subconscious mind and programming it well in the same way that we program in a way our music by playing a scale. It has to be these certain notes and in this certain way, and we do it a million times until it's absolutely perfect. The same is true with just our attitude in life. So whenever someone blocks me, you can't walk, I immediately look for another way around it. I look for the hole. I look for the open window. I look for the back door. There's got to be, I get creative. Before falling asleep, I think, okay, how can I do this? This has got to be, this is doable. So, and I go into it and I figure out how to do it. So, and it's no big secret. I just read, this is how I've lived my whole life. I don't take no for an answer, or I just take no for now, maybe, but I always find another way. And I think that we all have this power, and it's not about it. We can't dwell in the depression. We've all had our difficult years, our challenges, physical and mental in every way, but those are temporary. You have to let that go and then move forward. And that's just so important. And that's what I feel is kind of my life mission, is to spread this. I mean, it's all things I think that we all know, but we may, things get in our head that not, oh, but oh, it's raining today, or no, it's too messy today, or we focus on the roadblocks. But no, we have to move beyond the roadblocks, get creative. We are creative beings, and we are happiest when we are creating. That's for sure. So just tap into the inner creativity, tap into your inner, well, especially while before falling asleep. It's such a golden time. It's the time, and even into our dreams too. Our dreams show us so much wisdom, and I just love gathering those pearls every night. It's phenomenal.
I'll take a commercial break here to remind you that the Anatomy of Sound workshop you know and love has found a new home online. It's called AOS Wellness, and we are here for you as a faculty to provide resources and products for arts educators and performing artists. Join for 6 months or 1 year and get our 5 changing channels every month, plus the back content from previous months. Those channels are wisdom, movement, meditation, breathing, and practice. So after this show, you can go to porterflute.com/AOS and learn more. You can opt in for our 7-day trial and get access to my popular focus sheet, along with all of the wisdom we're bringing to you from our amazing faculty, only at the Anatomy of Sound. So, what do we tell the listener who is stuck? Who is
Oh, I love
stuck
that.
and limited and saying, hey, but I have this condition, or hey, and it's not an excuse, it's actually a condition. So, what do we do to help?
I don't even I don't I don't even go to the condition. I don't give the condition in quotes any power whatsoever. As far as I'm concerned, I am completely normal. In fact, I'm more than normal. I'm bionic now as a result of all my surgeries. And I have so much inner strength because all my challenges, what the number one thing that they teach is resilience, discipline, go-getiveness. I mean, challenges are made to be embraced. Challenges are made to move through and beyond and convert into something magnificent. Challenges or limitations are to be broken, are to be to move beyond. They're to break through. Challenge is an opportunity, and I love challenges. I've learned to embrace them, and the more challenging, I mean, I don't know. I think most people know by now. I'm just going to segue into what happened in my 2020. We all had a very, very difficult 2020. I mean, everybody, the whole planet. Okay. We were all in deep transformation. I was driving along. I was, letting somewhat letting my touring life go, which I was so attached to, right? I was at home and I was driving in my husband's convertible down the highway coast, enjoying the breeze in my hair. And all of a sudden, at 50 miles an hour, I was in this horrible head-on collision. I don't remember any of it. It blocked my memory. It broke my femur, the largest bone in the body. Most animals, when you break their femur, that's the end of them. They die. I was in a near death situation. It took my face, I have a huge scar on my cheek now, and it took my left eye. I have trauma induced glaucoma now. I went from traveling the planet. I had been, playing as a soloist in Tashkent, Uzbekistan, in Bishkek, Kyrgyzstan, in Zacatecas, Mexico. I had done a 10 concert tour of all over South America, just minutes, literally, that in the early part of 2020. It was all, and then I was completely stopped and I couldn't even walk to the bathroom. It was going from Mach 9 speeds, the speed of sound, to snail's pace. And I thought, oh, okay. Wow, this is different. But what an opportunity. Okay, what is life like in this new space? I have more time to meditate. Yeah, I love to meditate. I have more time to analyze my dream. So I started diving into the dream podcast. I have more time to just spend time with my mother, who's aging, my my husband, who I never spent this much time with before. So I just dove into everything that was beautiful about my new situation, stuck in a way in bed. But so it wasn't fun, and it is a challenge. I mean, when you have something that severe happen to you, it really challenges, especially your self-worth, your self confidence. It goes back under, like I thought, oh my God, my face is ruined. How am I gonna? And I was supposed to do something for NFA, and it was through Zoom, and I didn't know how to cover up my scar yet, and I didn't know what to do, and I just thought, well, I'm just going to talk about my accident. And it was the first time I talked about my accident during this, I think it's a world music thing that I had to do, world flutes for NFA. So little by little, I came out of it and I just thought, okay, I'm going to emerge. And this is part of the self talk. I'm going to emerge. And I remember telling Rena Urso about this because she messaged me, and that was the moment that I said, okay, no, I'm fine. Now is the birth of Viviana 2.0. I'm going to be even better, even faster, even stronger, even more magical. I mean, it's just the kind of thing that I love to embrace and I love to talk about, because I think we all have this power. We all have this strength in it within us if we don't dwell on the negative. Just focus. It's very easy. Just focus on the positive every single day, every moment of the day, every second of the day. And positive, so attitude mixed with attitude of gratitude, right? So turning, and my newest phrase, which I love to talk about, is going from tragic to magic, because that's exactly what it is. Yeah.
Let's talk about the whales. What drew you into the water with a plastic flute?
Well, the thing is that since I was, the doctors have always prescribed swimming. So when I was a young kid, I was on a swim team from early age. They also just, by the way, they prescribed Middle Eastern dance, which focuses on the hip muscles. So I was also a belly dancer for many years, and I used to do my belly dance on the stage. Back to the whale. So I swim in my ocean, which is right here, just a couple steps away. And I love just open water swimming. I don't like chlorine. I love just tasting the salt water in my mouth. Salt water is very healing. It's so healing just energetically in every way. If you have any kind of cut or something, just jump into the water and it's just so healing. So I was just swimming along. I have my pod, swim team sort of people that I swim with. And all of a sudden, the whales arrived in Half Moon Bay and they were in my swimming lane. And a friend of mine just said, did you see the whales? Or she asked me, did you see the whales while I was swimming? I said, no, I can't really see much while I'm, and it's not Hawaii where the waters are clear. It's a little more murky here. And then she said, you gotta get on top of a stand-up paddleboard. Then you'll be able to see the whales. And I thought, okay, let's do it. So we went out on our stand-up paddleboards and we had so many experiences with all these whales. I have smelled whale breath, for example. So I started bringing a plastic flute that I ordered on Amazon. So I put it in my wetsuit and I would just play a note. I would play, ooh, and the whale would go, oh. Or maybe it was vice versa, because the whale would go, and then I would play, oh. So I love to think, again, I'm putting on my magic glasses. It's a bit of extreme, but I like to think of it this way, that I was communicating and singing and playing with the whales on my stand-up paddleboard. Oh. It was so magical. I mean, I remember going out once, I think there were 4 of us, ladies, all ladies, on our stand-up paddleboards, and the whales just rose in between all of us, taking their breath. Ooh. And then I would play, ooh, and we all were just like, oh my God, it's just mind-blowing experience, earth-shattering. I mean, how many people have smelled whale breath? How many people have heard whale song while they're breathing? I mean, the whole thing was just magical, deeply, deeply spiritual. And so I just kept doing this because it was so amazing. And it was around the same time that GoPros became popular. So my friend Nicole and I decided one day we would go out with our GoPros, and I had a GoPro on my chest and she had hers on her forehead. And that day, it was a beautiful day here in Half Moon Bay, and this enormous whale gave me a kiss, right? And it's on my YouTube. It's got more than 1 million views on it. But that was, I sent it into the local NBC station. I used to work at a PR firm when I was at Juilliard, so I know a little bit about PR. So I sent it in, And all of a sudden, I was on my way. I remember I was on the plane to Chile because I was playing in the Chilean Flute Festival. And I when I landed, I had my all my mailboxes had exploded. I mean, I had mailboxes I didn't even know I had, messages, everyone, ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, Huffington Post, German TV, Argentinian TV, Japanese TV, you name. I mean, it was the whole planet wanted my video, wanted to air my video. So I signed up with Storyful. Also, these video agencies, they all want your video too. And I ended up making a ton of, like, thousands of dollars. And it's still, like, just this year, Japanese TV asked me to re-air the thing, and I got another 2 grand from that, 2,000 euros. They paid me in
Oh,
euros for some reason, even though it was Japan. Anyway, it just went bananas. And it's just, I don't know. It's just one of those things. My life has been very intense. It's about huge ups and huge downs, but I'll take the downs because the ups are so amazing.
mm-hmm.
And I think I'm not alone. I mean, I think all of our lives, we all have great challenges, huge hurdles to overcome, physically, emotionally, mentally, whatever your hurdle is. I feel like I'm here to tell you, just move through it. You can do it. Put it in your brain that you will do it. You are doing it. And then either either go through creatively, find the back door, find another way to float through your goal, because you can do it. Just set your mind to it and you can do it.
So, Viviana, could you explain the challenge of starting this amazing online magazine called The Flute View? I'm a subscriber. I was a subscriber from the first edition.
So after NFA, I had just met Fluter Scooter, and she was just starting her flute bag thing, otherwise known as Andrea Fisher, and Barbara Cecil. And we had gotten to, I don't know, we just met at NFA and then thought, let's do it. We're going to create an online flute magazine, and we're going to call it The Flute View, and we're going to have a podcast and this whole thing. So just a couple months later, I think by November or maybe September, after just a couple months after NFA in August, we were up and running. And it's just been fabulous ever since. Yeah, and now 50,000 subscribers or viewers on Instagram for the Flute View, which is 50,000 for a flute entity. It's we're doing pretty good.
Talk about your Healing Dreams Project podcast.
The Healing Dreams came out of my challenging year of 2020, where I was stuck in bed and had all this time. So I started, and I felt like I've always been in dream circles, but my dream circles were all in person. And because I had gone through the car accident, I couldn't go to a dream circle. So I started looking for an online dream circle. And that's where I found Billy Ortiz. And through her Zoom dream circles, I just started joining them, and I found it so wonderful and so uplifting, and I just love exploring the subconscious mind, and I love exploring dreams and the messages that they have. That after a year of joining her groups, I suggested to her, I said, why don't you do a podcast, and I can help you produce it, because I've already done this, you know. And so that was I think a year later, after I had joined the dream groups, that's when we started with the podcast. And we've done, I don't know, we are up to, I'd say, nearly 40 episodes. We just went live March of 2022. So we've been pretty what's the word? Prolific.
Yes. Prolific. That's wonderful. Congratulations. And I love the podcast world because I always say you can stumble upon it and you can be there, or you don't have to be there if you don't want to be there.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
I
Yeah.
learn a lot. I laugh a lot. I'm moved a lot. So podcast world, it's a lot of effort, but it's worth it.
I agree with you. I agree. And as a listener, that's all I listen to. I don't listen to music necessarily when I'm driving. I just listen to podcasts. So um I think there are a lot of us out there that appreciate podcasting, and I love it too because I love the exchange of ideas through speaking. It's like having a phone conversation, that others are kind of listening in on.
Let me take one more opportunity to introduce you to the Anatomy of Sound, where you can do a 34-minute yoga class or several different meditations, all for free. You can see more of our content at AOS-Wellness. And if you're on our PorterFlute website, it's PorterFlute.com/AOS. Check us out for memberships and products that help the performing artist and arts educators.
What are your New Year's goals?
Don't know yet.
Don't know yet.
I think I'll meditate on it.
Yes, that's what I do. I always write down. I'm always very focused on what it is I want to create next, or the energy behind what I want more in my life. And that's how I've unraveled my life, is just by following that little thread of inspiration of what it is I want to manifest. I'm always very aware and I'm always diving into it. So I love New Year's for this reason, because it forces us all to sort of look back on what we've done and look forward to what we want next.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, dear.
Learn more about Viviana at vivianaguzman.com or flutesbythesea.com, or check out her two podcasts, The Flute View and Healing Dreams Project. You can find this podcast at PorterFlute.com. That's the new website for the show. AmyPorter.com has been revamped, so you can go there and click on UMISH FAQs or Porter's Curriculum to learn more. You can find me as PorterFlute and Anatomy of Sound on Facebook and YouTube. And on Instagram, I'm PorterFlute and AOS Wellness. Thanks for being in PorterFlute Pod. I'm so grateful for you.